What if Darth Maul became the Emperor? In The Phantom Menace, we witnessed Maul lose to Obi-Wan, and as a result, he spent the rest of his life seeking revenge against him and anybody who crossed him. Meanwhile, Palpatine rose to power, and as Emperor, he ruled over the galaxy for the next 20 years. But what if things were different? What if Maul became the Emperor instead? How different would things have been if he was the one to rule, not Palpatine? Well, in this alternate timeline, that's exactly what we'll be diving into, so let's get right into it. Our story begins just moments after the Duel of the Fates, but in this timeline, the fight played out differently. Instead of Maul losing, he was able to overpower both Jedi, defeating both Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Just moments ago, Obi-Wan tried to flip over him in the air, but Maul was swift and sliced Obi-Wan in half without mercy. With that, Obi-Wan then fell down the reactor shaft and was defeated just like Qui-Gon. However, as Maul stood there, he sensed that Qui-Gon was still breathing. He was still alive. So, Maul walked towards him and stood above his helpless body.
You fought well, Jedi. Unfortunately, history will not see it that way.
Qui-Gon stayed silent. He was too weak to even speak.
Die well, Jedi.
With that, Maul stabbed Qui-Gon right through his chest once more, confirming his kill. As he did this, Maul never felt more powerful. Victory felt so good. It felt sweet. Most of all though, it made him feel unstoppable. If he could defeat a Jedi Master and Apprentice duo, who else could he defeat? Maul wanted more. He was thirsty for more power. However, he had to do his duty first, so he contacted his master right away.
Yes?
It is done, my master. Both Jedi are slain by my hands.
Good. Very good, Lord Maul. Your strength in the dark side has grown, but the currents of the future have shifted. Report to me on Coruscant at once. There is much to discuss.
Yes, my master.
Maul then started to leave the generator room. However, as he did, he felt a strong presence in the Force. The same presence he felt on Tatooine as well. So, Maul then rushed through the palace, and as he approached the hangar, he saw a boy standing there. The same young boy from Tatooine, all by himself.
Master Qui-Gon? Master Obi-Wan?
The boy looked lost. However, as Maul looked closely at him, he felt his raw, sharp power. This boy had potential. He was strong. Perhaps too strong. Maul went deep in thought. Perhaps this boy could be a weapon. Perhaps he could be a powerful ally. However, at the same time, he could also be a threat. This boy could be a powerful asset to the Jedi, and Maul couldn't allow that. For years, he was taught to kill the Jedi and by any means leave no survivors. So, Maul then approached the boy, and as he did, the boy began to shake. Fear spread through him from head to toe. He was too scared, too frightened to even speak.
Don't be afraid. This will all be just a bad dream.
With one strike of his blade, Maul sliced the young boy's head off without mercy. Now, no Jedi here on Naboo would threaten the Sith, and Maul could return to his master. More than ever though, Maul craved more and more power, and his arrogance was never higher. In his eyes, nobody could defeat him, not even his own master.
You have done well, my apprentice.
Only because of your teachings, my master.
Indeed. However, the Jedi will sense this disturbance. They will search for answers for years, which is why we must remain in the shadows.
I understand, my master.
We will allow the Republic's path to proceed. In time, we will shape it.
Yes, my master.
Ten years had passed since Maul killed both Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, and everything had gone according to Palpatine's plan. Just as he foresaw, the Jedi spent the last 10 years searching for the mysterious Sith Lord. Meanwhile, Maul remained hidden all along, and Palpatine rose to become the Supreme Chancellor. Throughout these years though, Maul began to get frustrated. He killed those two Jedi 10 years ago, yes, but ever since then, he was hungry for more. Hungry to kill more Jedi. However, his master only held him back by keeping him hidden in the shadows. This angered Maul, since he knew he had the power to kill more, but Palpatine refused to allow him. So as the years went on, Maul slowly grew tired of Palpatine's control over him. However, there was something even worse that frustrated Maul. On top of all that, Palpatine took it upon himself to recruit another apprentice, Count Dooku. Although Dooku never even knew of Maul's existence, Maul was confused as to why Palpatine took him on as his apprentice. In his eyes, that broke the Sith rule of 2, which went against everything he was taught. So, Maul became worried. Dooku was powerful both politically and in the Force, so could that mean that Palpatine aimed to replace him? According to Palpatine, Dooku was just a tool and will never be a true Sith, but Maul couldn't help but feel otherwise. What if there were more apprentices over the years that he didn't know about? What if he did actually have plans to replace him? Most of all though, what else has he hidden from him? Maul needed answers. So in a desperate act, he returned to a planet he only heard stories of, his homeworld of Dathomir. It was there on Dathomir where Maul sought guidance from the family he had never met, the Dathomirian witches. So, Maul made his way there, but as he did, he was in for a surprise.
Maul.
Maul looked around. Who was that?
Turn around, my child.
Child? Maul turned around. Before him stood a tall, mysterious woman.
Who are you?
There is no need for conflict. I am your mother, Maul.
Mother?
Indeed. You wouldn't remember. You see, Maul, I was supposed to be what you are now. The apprentice to the all-powerful Darth Sidious. Long ago, he came to me on Dathomir. We exchanged wisdom and mingled dark side abilities with Night Sister magics. He promised to make me his right hand, but instead he stole what was most dear to me. My own flesh and blood. My son.
Maul had no words. What? No.
And how do I know you're not deceiving me?
When Sidious sensed your potential, he stole you from me. Now, when you are no longer useful to him, he will betray you and replace you with Count Dooku. You are just yet to see it.
Maul went silent.
But you felt it. That is why you have returned home. To seek answers.
Sidious moves in shadows. I do not know my place in his design. I do not know my future.
Your instincts are correct. There are truths he will never reveal to you. Power he will never allow you to possess. Secrets within secrets.
Maul looked into his mother's eyes, weighing her words. The shadows of his past, the promise of his bloodline, and the hunger for vengeance twisted inside him. He had been a tool, a weapon, and a student of secrets too long. His mother was right. Although he was hesitant to trust her at first, everything she said was how he felt. He couldn't be replaced. He refused to allow that to happen.
What must I do?
To destroy Sidious, you must be patient. He will foresee your betrayal before you even conceive it. Sidious is always one step ahead. Remain patient. Do not let your fears and thoughts betray you. And when he least expects it, you will be victorious.
Maul nodded.
And what of you?
Your destiny has always been far greater than my own, my son. Take this galaxy for yourself. Rise above Sidious and fulfill your destiny, Maul.
Yes, Mother.
3 years had passed since Maul met with Mother Talzin, and since then, Maul remained patient for his opportunity. His opportunity to not only overthrow Sidious, but to soon become the Emperor of this galaxy. Luckily for him, he was headed on the right path. Over these past 3 years, Maul became closer with Sidious than ever, not out of respect for his master, but instead to learn everything of his plans. To learn about what he planned to do as Emperor of the Galaxy, and more importantly, how he was going to do it. After much time, Maul learned that Sidious planned to take control of the galaxy by using the Republic's clone army. According to Sidious, each and every clone trooper was programmed with inhibitor chips, and when the time was ready, an order would be executed to turn them against the Jedi. From there, the Jedi Order would be wiped out, and Sidious would plan to frame the Jedi as traitors against the Republic. At first, Maul was shocked by this plan, yet at the same time he thought it was brilliant. He realized over these years that Sidious was so many steps ahead of everyone else, so by studying each and every one of his moves, he could use that to his advantage to become Emperor himself. However, that's not everything that Maul paid attention to over these years. As Emperor of the Galaxy, Maul would also have to be politically involved, so he studied the inner workings of the Senate, the chain of command, yet also the corruption. Over these years, he gathered as much intelligence as he could. That way, when it was time for him to rise as Emperor, he would be prepared. Every battle that took place, every skirmish, and every assassination was a rehearsal for what was to come. So, Maul began to infiltrate Palpatine's inner circle in subtle ways. Over time, he exploited rivalries, manipulated supply chains, and quietly eliminated Palpatine's most trusted advisors. With that, he truly created cracks in the soon-to-be Empire from within. However, on top of all this, he was also able to learn about Palpatine's true intentions with Dooku. He discovered over time that Dooku had influence, but no true power. It turns out that Sidious did see him as a tool the entire time, and he was purely there just to be a forefront for the Separatist movement and to arrange the clone army. However, while Dooku may just be a tool, it didn't stop Maul's goal from overthrowing Sidious. If Sidious was just using Dooku, then what's to think he wouldn't do the same with him? Maul refused to take any risk. So in time, Maul obtained a lot of intel over these years, but he also knew he had to tread very, very lightly. If he even remotely showed any sign of disobedience or hinted towards a betrayal, Sidious would be able to sense it. So, Maul laid low, and in secret he prepared day in and day out for this very moment. The moment to kill his master. Now 3 years later, it was time, and Maul knew exactly how he was going to do it.
The war is soon coming to an end, my apprentice. Have patience. Power comes in time. Your loyalty has been sufficient.
Maul's mind seethed. He hid his rage behind a mask of obedience.
However, that is not why I summoned you, my apprentice. It seems there is a traitor within our ranks.
A traitor?
Indeed. It would be most disappointing if you tried to deceive me.
Out of nowhere, Palpatine struck Maul with Force Lightning and knocked him right to the ground. Now he stood above him, taunting Maul as he laid there injured.
Did you really believe I would not sense your betrayal, Lord Maul? I knew from the very beginning, from the moment you disrupted my design, from the moment you killed my greatest prize, Anakin Skywalker.
Maul had no words. He was too injured to even speak. But one thing struck him. Skywalker? The boy?
He was destined to be my dream apprentice, not you. Just like Lord Tyrannus, you were but a tool in a larger plan, Lord Maul. And now, the Empire thanks you for your service.
Palpatine kept torturing Maul. Maul was weak. He was injured. He felt defeated. He could barely open his eyes. However, in a split moment, he glanced over at his lightsaber that still laid on the ground.
Do not worry. I'm not going to kill you. I have other uses for you.
As do I.
Using all the strength he had left, Maul force-pulled his nearby saber and stabbed Palpatine right through his chest. Palpatine was so blinded by torturing Maul that he let his guard down, and Maul used that small window to strike. Now, Palpatine collapsed to the ground, gasping for every breath. As he did, Maul picked himself back up. Everything he planned, everything he plotted, it worked. Now it was time to end this once and for all.
How?
Your arrogance blinded you, Sidious. Die well, my master.
With one strike of his blade, Maul stabbed Palpatine once more, killing him right then and there. It was done. Darth Sidious was dead. Now as Maul stood above his body, victory never felt better. For years he was nothing more than a puppet to Sidious, but now that time was done. At last he had seized the throne. Emperor was now in his name, and in fear he was ready to rule. However, although he wanted to savor each and every moment of killing his old master, there was much work to be done. So he knew what he had to do next.
Commander Cody, I am your new Emperor, Maul. You will obey each and every one of my commands and do as I say. Now, execute Order 66.
Cody paused for a brief second.
It will be done, my lord.
Cody was about to end the transmission, but then...
And one more thing, Commander. Deploy a squad to Sereno. Find and hunt down the former Jedi Count Dooku. As a former Jedi, he cannot be trusted and must be executed on sight. Is that understood?
Yes, Lord Maul.
"20 years had passed since Order 66 was executed, and so far, everything had gone according to Maul's plan. He had risen to the rank of Emperor, Count Dooku was killed, and the Jedi Order had collapsed. Now 20 years later, Maul's empire was more stable than ever. Or at least that's what he thought. During the early days of his rule, he framed the Jedi for being traitors against the Republic. Although there was no concrete proof, he revealed to the Senate that it was a Jedi who killed Chancellor Palpatine with a lightsaber. Maul then shared that he tried to save him, but by the time he arrived it was too late and the Jedi had fled. Since the Senate were unaware of Maul's Sith heritage, they were easily swayed and were convinced that the Jedi were the only ones who could have done it, as they wielded lightsabers themselves. Although Padme tried to speak out by sharing that Maul was a Sith Lord, not many listened to her or cared. At this point, none of the Senate members really knew of the Sith's existence, since they were extinct for close to 1,000 years, and all that mattered was that the Chancellor was dead. Padme shared that she first encountered Maul on Tatooine and then later on Naboo, where he was responsible for the death of 2 Jedi and a young boy. But again, not many listened. Only a handful like Bail Organa, Mon Mothma, and a few others stuck by Padme, but as for the rest, they were swayed by Maul's words and new leadership. However, the Senate would be in for a surprise. Within just a few years of ruling, Maul disbanded the Senate, and ever since then, his empire slowly started to shatter. Unlike Palpatine, who would have ruled through stability, Maul relied on domination, and that wasn't enough to maintain control over an empire. However, here was his biggest mistake. Because Maul executed Order 66 earlier than Palpatine planned to, many Jedi were still on Coruscant, and a lot more of them survived this turn of events. Although thousands still died, it wasn't as near as the amount had Palpatine commanded it, mainly because of the timing of it. So, some Jedi like Mace Windu, Yoda, and Plo Koon were able to survive Order 66, and while a lot of their peers died in battle, they didn't and remained in hiding ever since. So throughout the years, the many surviving Jedi joined forces with many rebel cells, and as a large faction, they grew stronger and stronger by the day. Although Maul was smart as Emperor, he let his ego get in the way many times and was blindsided by his power. He believed that the rebels would never stand a chance against his empire, but him being him, he needed to prove his strength. So to do so, he ordered Tarkin to use his brand new Death Star to blow up several planets to strike fear into the rebels. His intelligence informed them that there were rebels on several planets, including Alderaan, Lothal, and Ryloth, and so Maul ordered those planets to be destroyed. With no Senate intact, Maul was able to do as he wished, and nobody was there to stop him. In his hubris, he neglected to think about how others would perceive his choices, as nothing else mattered to him except dominating the galaxy. Unfortunately though, by him doing this, it proved that this wasn't just a display of power anymore. This was war. So in time, many riots broke out across the galaxy, as no planet knew if they were next on Maul's list. Because of this though, nobody really knew the right spot to point their fingers at. Many planets blamed the Empire, while some even blamed the rebels for putting them in this situation. All the while, Maul sat there, planning and orchestrating his next move. For his domination to continue, he had to get the public to see the rebels as the threat, not him. Unfortunately though, that wasn't really happening. 20 years ago, many saw the Jedi as enemies, but under Maul's horrific rule over the years, people started to change their perception on things, and the Jedi's names started to be slowly healed. However, Maul wouldn't allow this. The Jedi, the rebels, they were all a threat to his empire, and he refused to let this continue. So, now 20 years later, he meditated inside his chambers, plotting his next move. As he did though, he felt and sensed many different things. Chaos spread everywhere. Riots. Destruction. But throughout it all, he sensed a strong presence in the Force. Somebody perhaps as strong as him, if not stronger. However, this presence felt young. It seemed as if he was a young teenager of some sort. But he had raw power, immense potential. Maul went deep in thought. Although he refused to admit it, his empire was collapsing. Maybe what he was missing was an apprentice. An apprentice to rule side by side with. Maybe this presence in the Force, this boy, could be the answers he was looking for. However, this strong presence felt far, almost as if he was on the other side of the galaxy. Maul's patience snapped. He couldn't wait any longer. One way or another, he had to find this being. So he did what he's done countless times before in his most desperate moments. He reached out to his mother, Mother Talzin.
Guide me, Mother. I sense a shattering presence in the Force. A presence unlike any other. One that could allow us to seize control over this galaxy more than we have ever had before.
Maul heard nothing. No response. As a result, he became enraged.
Where is the boy? Guide me.
Silence.
Answer me.
Maul was filled with rage. Anger swelled within him. But then...
Tread carefully, my son. You walk a dangerous path.
Maul paused.
I fear nothing. So I ask once more, where is he?
Silence once more. But then...
A world of shadow, where the Force itself festers. Dagobah.
In time, Maul arrived on Dagobah and set out to find this boy. Normally, he'd bring a squad of troopers with him, but this time he wanted to do this alone. He was gonna find this boy, and nothing was gonna stop him. Luckily for him, as he arrived, he felt the boy's power more than ever. He was close. Mother was right. He was here. So, Maul exited his ship, and after searching the planet, he eventually felt the presence stronger and stronger. However, with his back turned, he all of a sudden heard a voice.
What could possibly bring the Emperor of the Galaxy to a place like this?
Maul turned around. It was him. He knew it was. But he wasn't a young boy like he imagined him to be. He was older.
You. Galen Merrick.
Merrick. That name felt familiar to Maul. A Jedi's name, he thought to himself.
It is an honor. But you already know why I am here, in this swamp of a planet. You made a grave mistake coming here. No. I am exactly where I need to be. I am here to offer you an opportunity, Merrick. Something greater than this life you have here. I have everything I need. I will never join you. On a planet like this, I think not.
Merrick went silent.
You see, I sense your power. I sensed your raw strength, hence why I am here. You would make a powerful apprentice, and together we could rule this galaxy. You may not know it, but you are strong in the Force, Merrick. I already know what I am. And so do they.
Maul turned around. Before him stood 3 Jedi. 3 Jedi he knew far too well. At that moment, Maul knew what this was. His mother was right. It was a trap. Together, these 3 and their young apprentice must have used their combined strength to channel a connection that Maul could sense. Although he wasn't sure how this was even possible, Maul knew that had to be it.
Your reign ends here, Sith Lord.
Master Jedi, is that so?
Maul eyed each of the 3 Jedi. Although they were powerful, he knew he could take them on. He was Emperor.
Master Windu, is it? I don't believe our paths have crossed before.
Enough talking. You've caused enough destruction to this galaxy. So, we give you a chance. Surrender or die.
That is not very Jedi-like of you, is it? Especially considering you were once a guardian of peace.
I'm not like the others. Now, this is your last chance.
Fine. Then let us duel to the death, shall we?
Maul looked upwards. Although he was confident in his abilities, he was hoping his mother could aid him somehow. It's been a while since he fought against a formidable opponent, let alone 4 of them. However, as he tried reaching out to his mother in the Force, he felt nothing in return. Usually he always felt her presence, but this time he didn't. Why? Should he have listened to her? Maul wasn't sure, but one thing was for certain. He didn't need her help. He would make quick work of these Jedi no matter what. So he ignited his double-bladed red saber.
Young Merrick, stay out of this you must. Experienced you are not enough.
Galen nodded. As he did, Maul leaped towards the three Jedi, and it was now a duel to the death between the four of them. Flashes of red, purple, blue, and green struck across the swamps of Dagobah. However, as they fought, Maul quickly realized he was wrong. He couldn't do it. He couldn't take them on. Although he's never fought them before, he realized that these three must have been some of the most powerful Jedi in the Order. Every move, every strike of their blade, every attack. They were so swift, so precise. Maul just couldn't keep up. So he knew he had to act quickly, and to do so he had to isolate one of them. So out of nowhere, Maul then separated himself and leaped towards Plo Koon, who he believed was the weaker of the three. Luckily for him, as he did, he caught Plo off guard and he then knocked his saber out of his hands. With that, Maul went in to strike and then...
Master Plo!
With one strike of his blade, Maul struck Plo Koon right through his chest. It was done. Plo Koon was dead. Now, Maul felt more confident than ever. One Jedi was down, and these next two would be easy for him.
Come fight me, Jedi.
Windu became enraged, so he then rushed towards Maul along with Yoda. However, each strike of Windu's blade only became more and more powerful. Windu's anger, his controlled rage. Master Plo was dead, and he was going to avenge him. Luckily for him, he was right. In time, Maul was overpowered once more. He truly was no match. So within mere minutes, Windu then kicked Maul to the ground and pointed his saber right at his throat.
You have lost.
As Maul looked up at the two sabers right before his eyes, everything hit him. For the first time ever, he felt defeated. He killed two Jedi on Naboo. He killed the almighty powerful Darth Sidious. He was responsible for Count Dooku's death. How? How did he lose? He was better than this.
Into custody. We must take him. Through trial, his fate will be determined.
He's too dangerous to be left alive, Master Yoda. We must end this now.
No. If kill him we do, then...
You Jedi are fools. Present me with a trial if you wish, but nobody will believe you. To everyone, you are all traitors. Traitors to the Galactic Empire. Traitors to the Republic. Then, of course, you could kill me. But then once more you will be murderers in the eyes of the galaxy. The choice lies with you, Jedi.
Windu stood silent, as did Yoda. While Maul's words were manipulative, they also knew the truth. The truth that the entire galaxy has sided against him for years. He was just too blind to see it. Maul looked down at the ground. Just like all those years ago, he saw his saber lying there ready to be taken back into his hands. He smiled inside. At the right moment, he could pull it to his hands just like he did with Sidious and strike these two Jedi down. Yes, that would work. Maul had won this fight and the Jedi didn't even know it yet.
Any last words, Jedi?
Enough.
Out of nowhere, Maul tried performing the same move, but he failed. Yoda was too swift, and before Maul even had the chance, he stabbed him right through his chest. Now, Maul laid on the ground, gasping for every breath. He lost. At that moment, it was purely his arrogance that led to his downfall. He had everything. The galaxy, the Empire, and now he had nothing. Nobody was there to help him. Nobody was there to rescue him. Maul was defeated. So, as he laid there, he then turned to his side and looked over at the young Galen Merrick. Using all his strength, he looked into his eyes and said,
Avenge us.
With one final breath, Maul's eyes closed. It was done. Darth Maul was dead. While his rule was short, it proved the very thing that was always within him: arrogance. Maul's blindness for more power led to his defeat, and now the rebellion had won. The galaxy was free from his tyranny, and as a result, a new era would begin. As time passed, Master Plo was honored with a funeral and was remembered for his heroic sacrifice. For the last 2 decades, he played a key role in the growth and strength of the rebellion, and before then, he served as one of the greatest masters inside the Jedi Order. So now, Mace Windu and Yoda spoke after his funeral about what may be a concerning matter.
I sense conflict within young Merrick.
Conflict, you say?
The dark side surrounds him. Before Maul died, the two exchanged a look. One I cannot describe.
Trust in him we must. One we have. Pain, destruction, war, gone that time is.
I understand.
Because of fear, lost our Jedi Order we did. Go down that path again, we cannot.
I suppose you're right. We taught him everything we know over the past years.
And continue to do so, we must, Master Windu. Now, come, match work to rebuilding our galaxy. We have